to our executive dialogue today. This is all the English I'm going to speak. After this, the language will be Del dia. I guess you guys understand it. It's bon dia and good morning. These are the three national languages of Timor Leste. A nation where the sun has risen for ages. But because of the hard work of the country and their people and their aspirations, today they have risen again and become and be a new entrant in the energy business. Very soon, their plans to develop a great field, which is called Greater Sunrise in Timor Sea, is going to be a reality. Great Sunrise Field has 5.1 TCF of gas in it. It will be producing gas back to Timor Leste onto an energy plant, and that's the plan. Now you wonder where this country is, right? It's a country of rising sun, I told you, so it's far east. It's next to Indonesia, and it's not very far from Australia. But a country which is a new democracy, and the people, as I mentioned, who are vibrant and working hard to bring this natural resource to life and achieve energy security for their country. Now, our country is known by its leader, as we all know. And when I said, who's coming from that country? And it was our speaker. He's the CEO. And I started doing research. I said, he's coming from there and he's a CEO. Let's see if he knows about oil and gas. What I realized, he has a very humble beginning. He was just like one of us, walking the floors of OTC, learning about reservoir, learning about rocks. And he was preparing for something big for his country. After becoming a reservoir engineer, after doing that for international oil companies, he was in North Sea, developing many offshore fields, performing reservoir simulation, and then he went back to take that experience back to his country to then deliver this new sunrise field. So please help me welcome Antonio de Souza, who's here with us today. So my job here is very simple. I will ask questions and Antonio will answer. At times, if you think I'm not asking the question, you're welcome to come to the podium and have those questions for him. But my first question to Antonio is, Antonio, I've heard that this discovery was made in 1974. Why now and why today? You are here.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to appreciate very much the opportunity for the OTC to invite me to come sit here and talking from all the experience has been going through the oil and gas more than 20 years. We are very new to this industry. So, Great Sunrise is a discovery in back 1974 when Timor Leste is still under the Portuguese administration. So that time is already immense, the issue of boundary between Timor Portuguese with Australia. Then on 75, when there is civil wars and between Timor Leste and then Indonesia is coming, it's getting more harder, more uncertain, and when the sunrise is going to be developed. Then during the Indonesian time, I think if I'm not mistaken, 1987, when the Australian and Indonesian above the Timor Sea, the both foreign ministers from both countries, above the Timor Sea, they will sign the agreement to establish a cooperation, joint development area, petroleum between two countries. And that time also, Great Sunrise is still under dispute area. Then on 1999, when the Timor Leste people has given opportunity to vote whether to still decide to remain with Indonesia or we are deciding to be an independent country, the majority of the people we are vote that we want to become an independent country. Then from that point of view, that time on 2000 1999 to 2000, they start negotiation. So when Indonesian is left, automatically Timor-Leste is replacing the place. At that time, Timor-Leste under the supervision of the United Nations, then we start negotiation with Australia. I must be thankful that at that time, I'm the first Timorese engineer who been trusted our leader at that time to be participate on the negotiation with led by UN and also some of our leaders. The message is very clear that time. We are as a Timorese, we need to understand the process and we need to defend the right, the sovereignty of our country and people. Then after that, on 2022, we agreed that establish a joint petroleum development area between Timor-Leste and Australia, and Great Sunrise is still undisputed area. Then you can see the boundary. I'm sorry I don't have the slides here, but on the Great Sunrise is still an overlapping Australian reservoir. So some part is falling to the Australian jurisdiction, some part is falling to the joint petroleum development area, where the Timor-Leste and Australia is shared 19% and 10% to Australia. This is based on the upstream production. Again, that time, the Great Sunrise still remain uncertain. The negotiation is still not moving at all. But then, on 2017-18, through the process of negotiation and intervention of international organization and some other country, then Timor-Leste and Australia, on March 2018, we conclude a maritime boundary where they establish a certainty maritime boundary between Timor-Leste and Australia. But Great Sunrise is falling to special regime area. Why is it with special regime area? Because some part of the reservoir is still on the jurisdiction, the new jurisdiction of Australia, and majority of the part is falling to the Timor-Leste part. So then, based on the maritime boundary, they establish a framework as a basis for Timor-Leste and Australia to manage the process how they are going to develop Great Sunrise. And at the moment, we are still in discussion, especially one information that I'm missing, that on 2018 also, Timor Game, a state-owned company, we acquired the interest of into the Great Sunrise from ConocoPhillips and also Shell. And now we are the majority shareholder of the Great Sunrise field, is about 56.56%. And again, the new Sunrise joint venture will consist of Woodside as operator, Osaka and Timor Game. We are on the process to negotiate with the both country with the objective to develop Great Sunrise. So this is not only for the in the interest of Timor-Leste, but also the stability, the interest of Australia is a priority for the Great Sunrise. And it's very clear that from the maritime boundary is set up very clear that this field must be developed very soon. And I must be here also emphasize that during the last 2 years, during our term within the petroleum sector in Timor-Leste, we can conclude the commitment from both Australia and Timor-Leste, where they set the timeline that end of this year it has to be finalize all the framework, legal framework, and sign the production sharing contract. This is giving a certainty not only for the Timor-Leste, but especially for the Sunrise joint venture, and more importantly for Timor Game. So we already foresee what will be the phases coming in order to develop the Great Sunrise.
No, one thing remarkable to see, if you think about a discovery in 1974, today we are 2022, 48 years, and you have really taken this marvelous step in the last few years, making sure you negotiate well, you get everybody together. This is a remarkable achievement for a country. What I want to pinpoint is, this is energy security you have achieved. What about the portion of energy transition? Are you developing it in the way as we are envisioning it today? Can you comment on that?
Yes, first of all, I think you know the history of Timor Leste during almost 24 years. We are fighting for our independence, where the nature, the environment is part of us. We are united with the environment, so the sensibility of protection of our environment is our life itself. So, of course, we are also very sensitive. We follow the dynamic in the world. We are part of the country that signed the Paris Agreement. So the new development, the new constant development of a great sunrise toward the energy transition, environmental sensibility is very important for us. This is the priority. And we also see the opportunity for us to develop more comprehensive national energy plan, where sunrise is one part of the element of that. So this is our commitment for the not only for the commercial one, but environmental is number one. We are a small country and it's surrounded by the ocean, so it's an obligation for us to protect our environment.
It's good to see a new entrant like that, not only thinking about his resource, but also thinking about the future. I don't have a photograph to show, but I've seen some shots of your country, and I think it's a beautiful country to visit. Can you just describe to people how beautiful it is?
Well, if you come to the Timor Leste, I think last time, a few years back, when I still did my study in Norway, I took one of our colleagues' parents when they come to Timor, and suddenly just get outside of the plane and we go to the beach. And they swim on the beach. They say, this is like our own, because nobody is there, the water is very clean, and it's very safe, and the sun is white. So I think this is another advantage to attract people that not only our petroleum potential, but also our tourism and things. Environment is very, very important. We are welcoming anyone to come.
It's really good to know that that you have in that your mind when you're developing environment as your first goal. It should be pristine as it was.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about development plan, in the sense you are going to put an LNG plant. Of course, what we understand that it's a pristine environment, but also you still don't have a developed workforce or infrastructure. What are your plans about that, to develop it under your leadership, to make sure that what you have envisioned, which you're about to deliver, it will be, of course, you'll be drilling, you'll be producing, but when it comes onshore, you have that capability to handle gas, produce LNG, and serve not only yourself, but the other islands around.
Yes, this is another challenge for us. I mean, we've been, especially myself, we come from a generation that the process for the getting to independence until now, we are along the process. So we understand, we are very familiar with the challenge that where we stand, we have what we have now. This is the fact that we need to work for the future, and with all the approach, all the solutions that coming, we have to face with that. Then one of my objective to come to US, this is my first time come to US, is not only for come to OTC, but to also have an engagement with the leading technology powerhouse, the leading expertise here, the leading financial institution, to helping us work with them and develop the great sunrise. And as a national oil company, it's very clear for us that any single barrel that we extract, it has to be as benefit to our people and protect our environment for the future.
Talk a little bit about the future. I know you're thinking broader than your country here, because you will have a hub there, LNG. It is a very nicely located island. How do you think you involve the others, countries around you, as you develop your resource?
This is a very interesting question. You see the spirit, the objective of our maritime boundary that we signed between Timor Leste and Australia is to establish an stable region, economical, geopolitical-wise in that region. So, therefore, for Timor Leste, in order to reach an stability and stable region, it's only through the development. Through the development can guarantee the prosperity for Timor Leste and also guarantee the stability of the region. This is, at the end of the day, it's like about balance. So we understand very well the process, the decision making for the Great Sunrise field development, upstream and downstream. At the end of the day, it has to go through the decision gate where the two states has to be make decision. But as a state-owned company, there are three values that are very important for us: the economical value, the commercial value because we are the oil and gas industry, and the more important is strategic value. This is a value that we are working toward to make the presence, the establishment of Great Sunrise field for the upstream to downstream pipeline from Timor Leste. It will secure and we are contribute to the stability of the region as well as the surrounding country. Yes.
Tell us a little bit about when you say you're trying to bring other countries together as you do it. Of course, you have good relationships there with Australia, but you also have other neighbors. As you develop, how are they contributing towards? Are you a part of groups with them? Are you bringing them together as to help you with your workforce?
Yes, I think at the end of the day, it's not the matter of how we are going to cooperate, but the responsibility for the energy security and environmental protection is a common responsibility for those regions. And that part, Australia is one of the oil country producers. Papua New Guinea is the same, and our good neighbor Indonesia are the same. So we share the same responsibility to secure the stability of energy security in the region, and as well as environmental protection, which is common responsibility we need to share. So we have some common objective. We need to work toward that to make this happen.
Good. I'll take a break here. Any audience, any questions? If you are lagging on understanding a little bit about this new vision and new way Timor Leste is approaching this field. If you have any questions, you can please come on the microphone, speak into it. Otherwise, we'll continue our dialogue. Give you a minute.
Graham Rucker with News Source. Just, Mr. Antonio, a quick question. I read an article a while back that Timor-Leste has set up a national investment fund. Could you comment on that and how it might help the development of the country, the national development? I believe you modeled it on a Norwegian model, was what I read in the article.
Yes, I think when the first time we get an income stream from the migrant field, we also work closely with the Norwegian government, NPD, Norwegian Petroleum Directorate, where they share the experience on how to manage our petroleum fund and sovereign fund in order to guarantee the sustainability and also how we are going to spend during the time of our development and also our human resource capability. And we also very thankful because that time the Norwegian Petroleum Directorate is the one who provided a scholarship for the Timorese. And I'm the first reservoir engineer for the country, and I get educated in Imperial. So this is something that open our vision that the oil industry, it has a dynamic, and we need to be sensible to the world toward what the direction has to improve.
Now, if I have missed this, I was pretty impressed by the thought that not only you did your BS in mining back in your country, you went all the way to Norway to get your master's in petroleum, which has given you a view of how the worldwide system works and how to be not a citizen of your country, but the citizen of this world as you develop this resource. That's certainly commendable. Let's talk a little bit about your NOC as your company. Most of the time we see NOC pretty much politically governed by whatever is party out there. We are always worried when we talk to NOC that the government may change, NOC may totally take a different stance. Tell us, how do you feel about NOC, Timor Gap as an NOC being different and providing more stability, where there's always a fear that the NOC can change the next day?
Yeah. I think again for the basis, the spirit of the government, the people when they establish, they approved to establish an NOC, Timor Gap, is the exist of Timor Gap is very important. We need to, the role is very important. The first, we need to identify what the resources we have, we need to characterize what resources we have, and we need to optimize what is the option to develop those resources with the sensibility to our environment. Then, we have to make sure that any activities, I'm talking about the oil and gas, from the upstream to downstream, any single activities, they create a value. They create a value that, through that value, it not only to get some revenue, but it's more important is a transformation for us. Develop our mindset, our sensibility, how we are going to protect our environment during the life cycle of oil and gas. And this is a very important role of Timor Gap. But we also very, very sensible. I mean, I come from a background that been working in service with the last company I operated. So when you come to discuss, especially like Greater Sunrise Field, where we have a joint venture with IOC, International Oil Company, it is very important that we have to present the fact, technical basis, commercial basis, and then we can discuss. We are very open. I mean, for Timor Leste, economic value, strategic value, commercial value is very important. We have everything, we have capability, we can work with the very advanced expertise that has in oil and gas. We have everything that we put on the table. So the other operator, the other company, you have to learn from them. Then we see which one is the better. Of course, the solution is there. We have a national aspiration, but the oil industry is everywhere. The part is the same. This is our responsibility toward our people and the country.
So would you describe your NOC, which is having that mandate very clear that when you are dealing with the people, you're dealing on an equal footing rather than being encumbered by a changing political favors of the inside the country? Can we make that statement?
Well, my background is reservoir simulation. I work with different uncertainties, so it is pretty much there is always a solution for that. But at the end of the day, like Sunrise joint venture. Before I came here, also I met with the top management of Woodside and Osaka. I said I come to OTC. What I'm going to talk is to put Sunrise on the global map. So I'm not going to come to OTC and prejudice our Sunrise joint venture, because if you prejudice one of your joint venture, the Sunrise will never happen. So it is a responsibility for us to make this happen commercially and technically viable. So the NOC role in the previous 70 years and now I think is slightly different. We need to be sensible and understand how the dynamic it is. Yeah.
No, I can appreciate, I know some of you are geologists and they tell you in your classes, the rock has no boundary. We have created artificial boundaries, and I like this approach where you recognize that it's rock may not have boundary. Why should we put boundary? It should be all commercially driven. We should discuss how we will develop for the benefits of it, and you have reached a very good stage. I'm looking, there are other fields in your country too around. As you develop Sunrise and that rises, will you be able to tag them along with this philosophy? Have you thought through this? How will the region can use Sunrise in the same model to further develop other things which are happening?
Yes, we are, in fact, we are not focused on Sunrise, but the surrounding potential that within the jurisdiction of Timor Leste. We are doing extensive exercise to identify those potential, and this is something that we are going to table and ask if there is some company or want to join us, but this opportunity is there. So we are an integrated approach to make sure that the benefit to everyone, the stakeholder is there, and our principal stakeholder is our future of the country and our generation. This is something that we need to protect.
So I was going through lately, you had some blocks which were sold in Timor Leste, and I want to draw attention of the folks towards that. Tell us, what do you think about the outcome? People had bid on it. There were some international companies we saw. Were you happy with the response from what you're getting internationally?
Well, I think from the last 3 years where the situation is very difficult, success, get 5 of 18 blocks onshore and offshore. It is another successful. If you compare with some of our neighbors, they do a crazy rate during that time, but there is nobody is coming to that. And Timor Leste petroleum region is a new, not very new, but in terms of the density of the field, well thing is not as tight as other regions. I think this is always a challenge, and the geological oil and gas companies, they like to try new approach, new technology and challenge to embrace your challenge. So Timor Leste is the right place for that.
Let's talk a little bit about when you say it's a right place, as far as the way you've described it, right, the people, a lovely place to be in. But let's talk about truly the investment opportunity. How have you made sure that when folks go there, they are treated equally with the international setup, and the investment is not being lost somehow? So what some of the protocols you have which makes it more enticing for the international? Could you
I
comment?
think our country, one of the most democratic country, very stable. For investment wise, the case of the Bayunan field is already present. The other field in the offshore also, AI, Apex, other field has been gone through that. They show that the stability is there. We are not, the government or the country not do much intervention to a decision, a commercial decision. So it's a very friendly, although we are a bit new country, but in terms of the petroleum sector, we quite advanced. We compare with other regions because we are very open. We are not the production sharing contract regime. It's very fair for the company. They can present whatever they did and then cost recovery according to what they are doing so far. So it is very fair, and I think the environment is very good for investment. Yes.
Guys, this is your opportunity to ask. I have got the CEO of Timor Gap saying he is ready for your investment. Do you have any questions? Please come on the mic if you have any question. We have another gentleman for you.
Hello, Mr. Antonio. I'm Amit from News Source. And I have a question regarding Timor Gap's plans regarding its local content moving forward, potentially with Greater Sunrise even this year. Thank you.
Yes, within the production sharing contract regime, there is one very important element is called local content.
Right.
We want to make sure that any single extraction, any single activity, it has to be as responsible the outcome to transform not only economical wise but our education or it has implication, direct implication to the people.
Right.
It's very clear in the PEC, even the Greater Sunrise, although we don't have the PEC yet exists, but the joint venture, we already have a commitment we call a social investment, where the Sunrise joint venture we are committed to develop agriculture, education, and other sector that has a direct impact to our society. So for us, Timor Gap as a state-owned company is very clear, as I mentioned earlier, from the exploration to the abandonment, any single activity, any single barrel, there must be have some percentage to have impact to our people, because at the end of the day, the people is the subject of our development itself.
That's correct. I mean, we all understand as a part of ESG, environmental, you have done it, social, we have to have that social component and governance component. That governance component does beg a question to me. When you put the governance in place in your joint venture for local content, does it encumber your joint partner to do more, or is it you are doing more as Timor Gap as a company, or you are asking the joint partner to commit more? Because that is one thing we see in the BSC models which kind of gets confusing or encumbering for investment.
Yeah.
What's your stance on it?
Well, actually, I'm not in the position to answer this question because we have an authority called National Authority of Petroleum. They want the regulatory body to control or oversee all the implementation of PAC. But inside the Sunrise joint venture, of course, we as a state-owned company, we have our approach, we understand the different view from the IOC and IOC. But that is the interesting challenge for us to see, communicate and have discussion with them. This is the importance of the Sunrise and the development of the Sunrise, the success of the development of the Sunrise, it has to be a benefit for the people of Timor-Leste. And this is very clear in the maritime boundary where the Timor-Leste is a priority for that. And the spirit of that at the end of the day is want to make sure that the stability of the region, balance of the region.
That's one thing I'm very impressed by. At least you have independent bodies.
Yeah.
There is not one person driving this.
Sure.
You have an independent regulatory authority, and
Sure.
you're independent of that because that checks and balances are important. One thing you mentioned, which caught my attention at least, is that this sector of oil and gas, and we are calling you a new entrant because we are thinking of it new, because you're becoming more and more visible to the world because of the achievement. It's not new for you. You have been in this business. In fact, you have a field you mentioned while we were talking, which has now become mature. It was a joint venture with ConocoPhillips.
Yes.
Tell me, it's it's going to be decommissioned very soon.
Yeah.
Tell us how you're handling that kind of governance or regulation of decommissioning something.
Well, for the regulation part, again, the authority is the one who more in position competent to answer that. But of course, Timor-Leste, Timor-Gate as a state-owned company, we also see this an opportunity to extract some value and also an opportunity to develop our capability. So right now, I think the day after tomorrow, there will be a discussion between Timor-Gate, the authority, and also the Santos, the operator of Great Central Biomass, to see what is the option, what will be the next phase. And we've been performing our extensive study for the biomass surface, and there is potential also. Our commitment to environment, biomass may be a potential candidate for the CCA-US. So this is another thing that we need to discuss with the Santos as existing contract holder, or potentially any option that's going to come.
This is commendable that you're thinking already. You've learned from some of the mistakes we made here. Of course, we started with energy security, we went into transition, and now we feel like at times we have to go back. But if you're starting with the right footing, thinking of these elements now, you certainly get that advantage of not only extracting the natural resource, but at the same time thinking what else can you do to make sure it's a net zero mindset when it comes to emissions. Now this is truly commendable. Give us some more example when you develop the Sunrise field. What are the other things which will come into play which makes you feel that you have learned from some of the things we may not have done properly? And that's commendable that you've come here not only to see what we have done, but also to make sure you don't do something which is incorrect. Give us some more example in this development which you have incorporated or envisioning to incorporate, which will really be something taking care of more of the environment, plus making sure you get the energy security. So elaborate a little bit more, because that's a very good theme you have here.
Yeah, I think the very interesting Sunrise is the complication in decision-making process. So you see, in the Sunrise we have three joint ventures, Timor-Gate, Woodside, and Osaka Gas. So first of all, we need to have alignment within the Sunrise joint venture about what is the benefit for SGV, what is the concept development, etc., and the legal framework that is going to take place to secure our interests. And it has to be one very important requirement. We call it condition equivalent. Why? Because in the previous there already existed two regime contracts under PEC and Australian retention lease. Then, after the maritime boundary, you need to make a single contract under PEC regime, but those previous contracts, it has to be contemplated in the new regime. So this is another challenge for us between Sunrise joint venture. But then, within the Sunrise joint venture, we need to face how the sophistication and complication between two states, they have to align in one option. Then once the state is aligned, they need to talk to us, Sunrise joint venture. So the complication and uncertainty. This is another interesting, I mentioned earlier, reservoir engineering, the uncertainty is the one we are very interested to play with. So this is another opportunity to develop our capability. Yes.
Now, I was reading about Timor Gap, and what struck me was your slogan, "Together we can." How did you get up with that slogan? I'm very interested to hear about that slogan, because it right according to your philosophy, it matches right there.
Yes, together we can mean we need to unite our vision, our approach for the common objective of the Timor Gap as a state-owned company. So we understand the difference between people, because you see, we come from a post-conflict country where we have a different background, the generation. Some people maybe they don't know what is the war is, but for people like us, they know exactly what has been through the process. So when come to the state-owned company, Timor Gap, maybe some people will feel, oh, you are working for a state-owned company, we just sitting down and the operator come talk to us, we don't need to work. No, not like that. I told my team, I said, look, I've been working in the service company where we use the term that, lemon, they need to squeeze until the last drop. So now in my time, I need to squeeze you guys, not to the last drop until it's get anymore. So you have to work hard. This is the only way that we have proud, we have responsibility to the country. This is the can-do spirit. We need to go to that direction.
Folks, if you have any questions, I mean, I'm a fan of this "Together we can." I think it's a message to us too here. Go ahead.
Mr. D'Souza, Bill Hammond, News Source. Quick question, if I heard you right, you stated that the two governments are now fully aligned and that prosperity is coming for the country. So can you talk a little bit more about, is there a deadline for that to happen in the future, very near future, or what is the process there? And, one other quick thing, what other resources are out there besides just Greater Sunrise, and is there mining capabilities and things like that? Two-part question.
The second is, I don't understand the second question.
So the second one, from what I understand, is there something beyond after the sun rises? I think after that there's plenty more, I think, but I'll let you answer that question.
Well, I think I stated clearly today before I think it was clear, but the two governments, they already has a decision that end of this year, or the legal framework need to be clear, finalized, and the production sharing contract for the Greater Sunrise Field need to be signed. Of course, it is a bit for operator, the joint venture might be very short period, but we need to remember this is very, very fundamental, that the driver, the resource owner is the country. So we need to follow the rhythm, the timeline that has been set. Even we meet with the outside Osaka, we very clear that guys, for 48 years, there has been no alignment between any two countries. So now is the only opportunity that we go working on the last 2 years, being these two countries aligned, and they have set timeline. So this is the only opportunity for us to catch this momentum. If you lose this momentum, it won't be happen again, or maybe never happen again. So this is a very, very important momentum. The challenge is there, but you can only grow in the challenge. You are not grow in the comfort zone. This is what I learned from my experience. So this is an interesting opportunity for us.
So the second part of the question, I can repeat it one more time. Is it only Sunrise Field, or there's more coming?
Oh yes. Also, I mentioned that we are extensively working to identify, do some seismic. We re-study the potential existing. There is some potential field that close to Greater Sunrise. This is what we want to put on the table, that the sustainability of gas or LNG of our national energy plan is there. So we have another field that very close is a deep water, we have very good potential. We've been doing the seismic, 3D seismic, and we have extensive potential. So that's why I like to use this opportunity to invite any operator company, we can talk for that.
That's good to know. We have another question here somewhere? So I'll change the subject a little bit. Tell us about the colors of your country, of your company. They are blue and green. I was looking at your logo the other day. Can you tell us how you came up with these colors?
Well, I'm actually the part of the founder, one of the founder of the company. The color is reflect the business that we are. Although when they designed the color, I was still in the North Sea working doing another job. But what I get, the spirit is oil and gas and a hope in Timor when they see the green and blue is like a hope, a certainty that the future will be bright for that. But the white represent we need to work with our clean mind. It's very clean to achieve what we are going to do. That's why Ken is very important.
No, I was just explaining my company when we were just developing our colors. I said we need to hire a consultant, and he says, "Can't we do it ourselves?" You're an example of it can be done by yourself.
Yes.
Because you have the passion for it.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know you designed it because I was wondering they are very beautiful colors when I opened your brochure, and I was wondering. Tell us something about your country. I mean, this color also represents the same colors for the country, or the country has a different?
The country they have is quite different.
Okay.
Because the process of the color of the country, we come from a different phase.
Okay.
After the almost 400 under the colonization, then 25 years we need to fight for our independence. So the spirit that is coming the color of our flag. So it's a bit different. But the Timor game is already coming when we already achieve our independence. But for those young people that they are born before the war, they don't understand the connection between the two. I was fortunate because I can come from the whole process and Timor game process, so I can know the connection, what will be, and project what is coming to the future.
I'm glad that you have that continuity in mind. Sometimes we lose track. It's a very young nation. It has been in existence only for, really started your independence in 1999 truly. And I'm glad that not only you understand the natural resource, you come from the industry, you have a connection to the past, and you have an eye for the future, which makes it successful. No, I'm very glad. Is there any questions from the audience at this point before I encumber more Antonio here? We have one more here.
Hi there. Thanks all for your presentation so far. I got a couple of questions. The first one would be, obviously there's a massive potential. There's been rumors that Timor-Leste might become the new Guyana. Would you agree on this? What is the expected production capacity? And also a second question would be, there's a lot of movement and a lot of excitement about the energy transition, and many of your partners also already in that space. What would be the different technologies that Timor-Leste will adopt to secure that? There's energy security, but at the same time, there's going to be a low carbon future in this space, in this production capacity. Thanks.
Yes, thank you again. We are learning from the past, from the old industry and what is going on, but we need to have our feet in our ground and start doing what we have. So of course, Great Sunrise, our potential field, it will be bring Timor-Leste, or not Timor-Leste, but state of Timor-Leste, government or country of Timor-Leste to a certain level. But again, it only can be achieved through the development. When only through development, then we can guarantee the prosperity and bring our transform our country and people to the next level. This is another challenge, but we have no choice. If you want to exist in this region, this decade, this is the only one you need to go through. And the second, I think, for the what our commitment for the more commitment to transition of energy and also what kind of technology that are going to be used. I think it will be it will be contemplated in our national energy plan, where we are in the process working toward that. And biofuel is another commitment, so that for the carbon sequestration is a commitment to Paris Agreement, and Australia has committed to that. We have common vision for that. Then with extensive experience that Australia has, and my visit to US also very important. I think it open wide access to all the expertise and technology that has to achieve our commitment to the transition energy and commitment to the more net zero carbon in the future. Yes.
You know, the question also had a hidden thing behind it. He's put a challenge to you. He's asked you about, would you be the next Guyana?
Well, I think that's what I say. It's better we learn from the past, the history, the thing, but we need to put our foot in the ground to where we stand now. So, but of course, this is another motivation for us, and we need to. I just have a meeting with our friend from Guyana, so it's really motivating us, and we work toward that. Yes.
So one difference which goes forward, Timor Leste, I can say they deal in US currency, by the way. US dollar is their currency, if that helps you. And so they're already on the path of internationalization. There will be more international oil companies going there, I'm sure that will happen. You named an example of ENI already investing in it. And I'm sure there's, as you said, there's more discoveries to be made. Give us some of your relationship with the international oil companies besides the one which are in the region. Have you been in touch with major oil companies, other oil companies like Exxon, Chevron, Shell?
I think my visit to US now is an opportunity for us, and of course, I'm not thankful for my time during service company and other operating companies open my network. I can know other people is through the link with the global communication. Maybe through Mr. Sandy here is also an opportunity for us to open ourselves to the world. So again, I appreciate very much the opportunity to sitting here. It is put our country and get sunrise and other potential in the world, that there is an opportunity there, and we look forward to work with anyone.
Guys, if you have any other questions, I think this is a nice way to say that we have a new entrant here, not a new entrant, a very experienced new entrant who's done the oil and gas, have opened up their business, and I'm sure the statement is rightfully there. The sun rises there, and the sun will rise with you and with sunset field. If you guys have any last question, let us know. Otherwise, we are here, and we thank you all for participating. I'm glad, Mr. Antonio, Mr. Souza, that you could come and illuminate us, explain us about this development. And I hope you come next year.
Thank you.
We would like to have you on the exhibits. We'd like to learn more about the culture too. I think you're inspiration for us too.
Thank you.
Besides what we can offer, you have really told us that it takes some time to develop an energy security, but on the other hand, you're also thinking of transition at the same time, which is really far ahead from many other things we have heard. So thank you for coming again.
Thank you.
And please, if you have any questions, Antonio is here. You can do it. Thank you.